What if I told you Matheus Cunha could be the best player in the world? And not just that, but I'm giving him one mission: to win the Ballon d'Or, and I'll control everything to make it happen. With links to him moving to Manchester United, I have set up Cunha's move to the Red Devils. And from tactical experiments, goal scoring and assist record, every decision matters, because in Football Manager, winning the Ballon d'Or is more than just scoring goals. It can be impossible. This is Football Manager meets Narrative Challenge, with one player and one impossible dream. Will Matheus Cunha conquer the world of football under my management, or will another superstar steal his crown? Let's find out. Yes, everybody, welcome. Here is Matheus Cunha at Manchester United. Now, I've stuck to basically what the papers and a lot of important people are saying, that it's going to cost about £65 million for that move. So I have moved in there for that amount. And what I have already started to do is I've started to build a team around him, which means some players have left the club. We've got the likes of Lindelof and Malacia, Harry Maguire and Casemiro, all leaving the club to hopefully build a better team around him and give him the best opportunity. And I've already started by bringing in another player as well in Jonathan Tah from Bayern Leverkusen. I think as a defender, as a replacement for Harry Maguire, the pace, the strength, is everything we need on Football Manager for hopefully Manchester United to be a lot better than what they are. Tactically, we haven't got anywhere to the start of the season yet, which means I might change my mind before we do the season. However, I'm very tempted to go with my "it somehow works" formation. The basis of this is we need attacking goals. We need Matheus Cunha to score goals, get assists. We need him to win man of the matches. So I'm toying with whether to either play him in this position here, in that shadow striker role, that seems to be goal-orientated position in there, or in the pressing forward in that role, and hope that he is supplied with a lot of goals. Because he is a good finisher. He is a good finisher at the ball, 15 for finishing. His composure's okay. Off the ball's a little bit. I mean, he's going to be due a big upgrade, isn't he? That's my thinking for now. It might change. And set piece wise, I haven't gone through it yet, but what I will be doing is making sure he is the corner taker, the free kick taker. Hell, I might even get him to take throw-ins. And definitely, of course, the penalty taker too. We need to give him the best possibility we can of Matheus Cunha winning the Ballon d'Or, because he's already 25. We've not got a lot of seasons left. And so I got back to work with a couple of more signings joining the club in Ederson and Inacio at the back, spending most of my budget at United. Early signs with the new system wasn't great either, as we lost 5-0 against Manchester City in the first game, and Cunha had a terrible performance. He did though redeem himself with the opening goal in a 2-1 win at Old Trafford against Tottenham. And a rough start to this season, but with promising signs in season 1 of the challenge. And for now, I opted to keep Cunha in the shadow striker role for the time being. Throughout the season though, he even stepped up and take the armband from Bruno Fernandes in his absence, and led the charge, scoring a hat-trick in the semi-final of the FA Cup. So it was a good start to life at Old Trafford for Cunha, or is this in fact a bad decision for him? Well, in terms of the Premier League, we lost out on 4th place on the final day of the season thanks to Manchester City, but that still should be Champions League football. What I'm really pleased with is how many times his name features on the player statistics. He is the joint top scorer of the season with Rasmus Højlund, and I'll show you why that's even more impressive in a minute. But Matheus Cunha also has the highest average rating for us this season, and he is joint with the most assists with Amad Diallo. He also has the most player of the matches with 10. This seems to be a very good season, and the reason why I mentioned against Rasmus Højlund is because Rasmus, his inform has been mental towards the end of the season, and he actually got 4 against Fulham in one game. But Matheus Cunha didn't score after that, so that's pretty frustrating. But anyway, as I mentioned, could be Champions League football. I don't know whether it will be now because of but normally 5th place is Champions League football. We hope that will change. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the FA Cup, we got to the final. It seemed to be great, and we lost the FA Cup. We did though win the Carabao Cup 3-2 against Liverpool, who beat us in the FA Cup final. The most up thing about this is Matheus Cunha scored 2 goals against Liverpool in the final at Wembley to lift the Carabao Cup. So the first trophy he could win, he did. And that's amazing, and he was a big part of doing so. So really happy with that. I'm absolutely over the moon because he has managed to have such a great first season in a Manchester United shirt. We lost the final against Liverpool in the FA Cup. It seems like it was quite an even game. We had more opportunities, but they got the 2 goals. We didn't. Rasmus Højlund was actually off in the first half. But what you can see there, Matheus Cunha was actually man of the match in a game where we didn't even win in the FA Cup. Again, it's all positive signs. And if we're looking at the Premier League, his name does feature. He's in the most goals with 21 in the Premier League, and he's also in the highest average rating and in the most assists. So he doesn't top any of these, but he's probably one of the names that features the most, and that's really impressive from my eyes. Now, I've got the in-game editor open for full disclosure, just in case things doesn't work out here at Manchester United and we have to move him on for the challenge, but that means we can see his current and potential ability of 150 and 170. So he's by no means anywhere near his potential. There's a little bit of development, but he is 26, so he's already coming into his prime. Now, across the season, 33 goals and 21 assists in 51 games, and if my Enialuko maths is correct, that's a goal involvement over every single game, so that's not too bad at all. But he is wanted as well by Bayern Munich. Do we make the move to Bayern Munich? Possibly, but Manchester United have £60 million to make this team better, to hopefully try and get them to start winning more trophies than what you can see on the page right here. Promising signs this season, though, as the Ballon d'Or was won by Lautaro Martinez and was dominated by Serie A players instead of the usual suspects from Spain. Speaking of which, I sold Diogo Dalot and Scanlon to build up my budget a little bit more to bring in AC Milan's goalkeeper Mike Maignan, who is fantastic, but already missing the first couple of months of the season with an injury. I have decided, though, to stick with this tactic in Season 2, seeing as we did rather well, and Cunha thrived in the shadow striker position, which he will stay in for now. And unlike last season, starting with a thump into Manchester City, this season we went to the Etihad and won 2-1, with Cunha scoring the winner. Although we did lose 3-0 to Arsenal on the opening day, unfortunately. Those results aside, though, I think we've got to look at this in a positive light. We're in the Europa League. Now, Ballon d'Or winners don't tend to come from the Europa League. Of course, normally you have to win the Champions League, but the amount of times I've won the Champions League, the treble, whatever league I'm in, and the player still never won a Ballon d'Or from my league, I don't know. I don't know how they do it. Maybe it's well reputation, not sure. But our man, Matheus Cunha, stands as good a chance as anybody if the likes of Lautaro Martinez can go and have a fantastic season and be picked in this universe. So we've got to keep our fingers crossed and our toes crossed to make sure that this man is lifting that Ballon d'Or at some point. Now, the amount of files that I have downloaded recently for Football Manager in terms of new databases, face packs, etc., just to keep the game up to date and so I don't get bored, is absolutely absurd. And I wouldn't have done any of that if it weren't for the fact that I was always safe and secure while on the internet. And that is thanks to my friends at NordVPN. Now, I always have this turned on. You can see I'm connected to the United Kingdom right now, but anytime I'm perusing the internet, I can whip across and connect to the United States as quick as that. And it's just for the price of a cup of coffee per month. And with my code, when you go to nordvpn.com/OmegaLuke, you can get yourself an extra 4 months on top of a 2-year plan. Now, the advantages of being protected from this, obviously you got the anti-malware, the advanced browser protection, ads and tracker, all of those wonderful things. But of course, if you're maybe traveling and you don't really trust the hotel Wi-Fi, you can use that. Maybe you're traveling to another country and your Sky Sports app won't work in that country. I've had that problem in the past, so I can't even watch football back in the UK from my devices. I had to use a NordVPN IP address. And not to mention, there's other places such as the United States where there's things where you can watch 3 o'clock kickoffs, and sometimes even of course the Sunday 2 PMs when they've been rescheduled and you can't watch them in your own country where they are based. It's really frustrating, but NordVPN is there for you. Head to nordvpn.com/OmegaLuke, get yourself an extra 4 months on top of your 2-year plan, courtesy of my link, which I'll leave at the top of the description or in the pinned comments. Thank me later and enjoy using NordVPN. Back to the season, and Cunha was once again a menace in the first half of the season with 12 goals and 14 assists. The system was perfect for him to allow him to be a threat anytime the ball was in and around the opposition box. And it was back-to-back Carabao Cup finals with Manchester United and Cunha. It was also back-to-back wins for Manchester United and Cunha as they pulled off a 4-1 victory at Wembley. And with FA Cup quarters ahead, round of 16 in the Europa League, it was the Premier League in which Manchester Manchester United was struggling, with a harsh loss in the FA Cup semi-final on penalties, where Manuel was actually injured in extra time, meaning the January signing Oscar Gloop went in goal for the penalty shootout. And that led to Manchester United board deciding to sack me in what seems to be an incredibly harsh decision, especially when you consider United to be in the semi-finals of the Europa League after great wins in the round of 16, even beating Dortmund in the quarterfinals. I can't quite believe that happened, if I'm honest. I really do think that is really harsh. Manchester United, alright, they're in 9th, but they've got European football next season anyway, and they might be in the Champions League if they had let me carry on and we had won the Europa League. I kind of fancied our chances to win that Europa League. As it goes, Cunha wasn't having the best season. You could see he's got 17 goals and 16 assists. Still, probably the best performing season out of that Manchester United team. And if you're looking at average rating, he is 3rd up there and he's doing really well. So he might be alright. But of course, next season, we won't be leaving him at Manchester United. We're going to have to make a move and we're going to have to decide where's best for him to go next season. Now, Manchester United finished the season in 8th and didn't make it into the final of the Europa League after a really bad second leg. Either way though, the challenge continues and we have picked our next club to become the manager of in Bayern Munich, who have Harry Kane and Victor Osimhen up front. And my first port of call was to offer Manchester United £75 million for Matheus Cunha, which was accepted immediately. And he made the very wise decision to get out of Manchester and join me in the Bundesliga. He wasn't the only man I was bringing in though, as I made the big dog Tindo my assistant. We brought in 2 more players with Dennis Seaman the goalkeeper and Klosterman, who can play both full-back roles, as we go to another ultra-attacking formation with Cunha at the heart of it. And he is flying already in a Bayern shirt, getting on the score sheet 3 times in the first 3 Bundesliga games, but also bagging 3 assists too for his teammates in a dominant start to life in Munich. My biggest worry is that he might be overshadowed because the other players are also so good. And you can see that because of how many goals Victor Osimhen has scored at the start of the season. And his name is everywhere. He's pretty much scored in every game but 1. And Victor Osimhen, what is he on already? 7 goals in the league in just 3 games. 12 in 5. That's a bit alarming, because if he keeps on going that good, then we might struggle for Matheus Cunha to win the Ballon d'Or. But he stands every chance, and I think in this formation, the beauty about it is not only will he get a lot of assists, because again, if we're looking at the set pieces, I'm making sure he is the corner taker. He is, of course, the free kick taker. When we're in shooting range, he's taking that as well. So he stands every chance of getting the most amount of goals and assists. It's just that when you've got the likes of Victor Osimhen and Harry Kane, to be fair, who hasn't actually scored that many, but Jamal Musiala has also got 4 from attacking midfield. When they are that good, it might overshadow Matheus. But he still stands every chance. I've still got every hope that he can do it for us. We've just got to hope that Erling Haaland calms down a bit, because he won the Ballon d'Or last season for Manchester City. I was confident though that this Bayern Munich side was capable of winning trophies this season. Just not the DFB Pokal, as Freiburg knocked us out of that one. Either way though, a glimmer of hope as Erling Haaland lifts back-to-back Ballon d'Ors, and that's because Harry Kane of Bayern Munich finished in 3rd place. And at the halfway point of the season, we are top, unbeaten, and Matheus Cunha's name is everywhere in the player stats, as you can see, including having 11 assists, which is 4 ahead of 2nd place. What nobody anticipated though was the right back Sacha Boey becoming an absolute assist monster in the second half of the season. And the dynamic of Bayern's season was turned 180 degrees because one main factor that led to this happening in February. And that was that Matheus Cunha damaged his cruciate ligaments and will be out for 5 to 8 months, meaning he will miss the rest of the season and maybe the beginning of next. Not great when the man was in such fantastic form up until that point. And Bayern Munich won the league at a canter, with Matheus Cunha's name in and around all the player stats still, overshadowed by his teammates though in Victor Osimhen and Sacha Boey. And to make it worse, Bayern got to the final of the Champions League and beat PSG to lift the trophy. That is rough timing. That is so unlucky. A great season. He did so well in that first half. It just seemed like it was too good to be true, and unfortunately it was. 28 years of age now. It's going to be very difficult to get over such a big injury, but if any man can do it, hopefully it's Matheus Cunha. He's still out for another possibly 4 months. It might not be until the Ballon d'Or is awarded to somebody before we see Matheus Cunha back on the pitch again. We're just going to have to keep hope that he can do it in his latter years. He was indeed back at the start of the season and finally returned to Bayern Munich, but when he did, he came back stronger than ever. And within a few appearances, he even scored 4 goals in one game against Hamburg in a 6-3 win. And after 10 games with 10 wins for Bayern, Matheus Cunha was 1 goal behind Osimhen in the goal-scoring charts with the highest average rating and 8 assists already. And Matheus Cunha was suiting up because he was attending the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Unfortunately though, it was just as a guest to support his good friend and teammate, Victor Osimhen. What did I say? I knew this would happen having such a good player like Victor Osimhen at the club. I'm kind of gutted for him, but he had the injury, he had the bad luck. We just need to replicate last year's season, and we're on track for doing so. I mean, we're 10-10 in the Bundesliga, we're 2 wins in 3 in the Champions League, unbeaten in that, and we actually might get past the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal this season. Maybe then we can have back-to-back years of a Bayern Munich player, but this time have Matheus Cunha lifting the Ballon d'Or, we hope. The Bundesliga was dominated by Matheus Cunha in season number 4, scoring 29 goals that season and winning the Golden Boot. Not only that, but Bayern won the league comfortably again, and only Sacha Boey got more assists than in this season as he racked up 18 himself. In other competitions though, it was a difficult season for Bayern as they exited without even reaching a semi-final. And as we know, that may affect Cunha's chances of winning a Ballon d'Or this year. Season 5 then, and things have started very well for us here at Bayern Munich. Victor Osimhen, unfortunately though, is really taking things up a level. He's got 5 goals, I think, already in just the league alone. Matheus Cunha has started this season well, although he's only got 1 goal and 2 assists in the Bundesliga. He's actually missed a game as well. He's got 3 and 3 for goals and assists this season. But we have added a couple of players, and I've skipped over, actually, a couple of transfers from previous seasons as well, because we brought in Jules Koundé recently to go in our defence. That was last season. He's really helped the defence and improve our side. He's a world-class defender. And this season we went back to Spain and we picked up Aurélien Tchouameni, so another French international player, this time for our midfield. And he is world-class, there's no doubt about it, and will really help the fact that we are sticking just 1 player in there, and it doesn't have to be Joshua Kimmich all the time. So now we've got Matheus Cunha still playing on that right-hand side, but with the likes of Tchouameni and stuff who can really hold the back line. I think attacking-wise, we don't really have to worry about it. Our biggest worry is the attackers that we've got, again, pinching the spotlight from Matheus Cunha. And in what was turning out to be an underwhelming season for Matheus Cunha was made even worse when it came to the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Because again, he had to put on a brave face and smile for his friend Victor Osimhen, who lifted back-to-back trophies. Continuing season 5 as his biggest nemesis, as Victor bagged the Golden Boot for the Bundesliga in an incredible season, scoring 32 goals in 34 games, as Cunha could only get 23 and picking up #1 spot in 3 different player stats. It was actually a really good season for Bayern Munich as a whole. They won the DFB Pokal, beating Dortmund 2-0 in the final. Matheus Cunha missed a penalty in that final, but Osimhen and Harry Kane bailed him out to get into very late goals. And they got to the semi-final of the Champions League, only beaten by PSG. Of course, they beat in the final a couple of seasons ago, and they did quite well. They knocked out Newcastle in the quarterfinal, round of 16 knocking out Chelsea 11-4 on aggregate, and PSG actually went on to lift the trophy, beating Barcelona. Does that do any favours for our friend Matheus Cunha, who still had such an impressive season with 36 goals and 19 assists? Victor Osimhen got 46 in 46. with 10 assists. That's really impressive. Across the summer, 2 more talents joined Bayern Munich, with Konate coming in defence from Liverpool and Franco Mastantuono as well, a 21-year-old who looks fantastic in the attacking midfield position. And although I toyed around with the idea of moving Cunha, no other club seemed viable where a Victor Osimhen problem wouldn't follow. And selling Victor Osimhen just made no sense. Instead, we've just got to believe Cunha can step up and change the outcome himself. And with the Ballon d'Or ceremony approaching, Cunha was putting up good numbers, but not amazing ones like before. To be fair though, it doesn't matter because Kylian Mbappe is this year's Ballon d'Or winner and Victor Osimhen somehow doesn't even get a mention, despite scoring that many goals. I mean, Dani Olmo is second place, I think, for the second year in a row, with again some really impressive numbers. I mean, 26 goals, 14 assists in that attacking midfield role. Last season was even better. That's phenomenal. I'm actually quite surprised Victor Osimhen did manage to win that one. But Kylian Mbappe is this year's winner. Erling Haaland finished in 3rd place. And right now, as we're at November, Bayern Munich is winning the league. They've got the same amount of points though as Leipzig. They've both lost 1 game. We are through to what I think is the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal. That was the 2nd round, correct. Cunha he's doing all right. He's just not putting up the numbers that he was a couple of seasons ago. He's got 6 assists, which is great, but he's not quite there yet. I mean, 5 goals, 6 assists in 9 games is amazing. Don't get me wrong. 11 goal, whatever they're called, in 9 games is very impressive. But that season there, when he got 29, is just absolutely bonkers. And we kind of need to go back to that. Scoring so many goals. I mean, across the whole season, 20 goals. But I think it's taken in consideration the FIFA Club World Cup, where in one of the games, this one here, he scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals. And that can't really count. Unfortunately, it will, but we can't count it, really. But this season, I actually decided to change up the system and give Cunha a run up front, with Osimhen playing in the shadow striker position behind. And it was a good year for Bayern as a club, as another DFB Pokal final win, without Cunha scoring or assisting though, as well as a dominant Bundesliga win, although there were no Golden Boot wins for a Bayern player. Cunha did score 21 though, and did also have the most assists that season. However, it was another heartbreaking end in the Champions League final though. I'm kind of really unsure whether the tactical change was good or not. Goal involvements, he had more than Victor Osimhen in less games because he missed a couple of games. He still played 56, but Victor Osimhen scored 44 and got 19 assists. Really impressive considering he's just an out-and-out striker who I've had to train to play in that centre attacking midfield role. But what a player, by the way. I know this is a Matheus Cunha video. Victor Osimhen is unbelievable on this game, whether you play him up front or in that centre attacking midfield spot. He is absolutely phenomenal. But Cunha, 41, 24, it's still good. Just how many years can he keep doing it? We're up to 31 now, and his natural fitness is only 12. I don't think we've got 3 years left. I think we've barely got just 2 good seasons left before all his physical attributes are really going to decline, and we might struggle to keep Matheus Cunha at his absolute best. And this season was a good season, just nowhere near again his peak. I struggle to think whether he's going to win a Ballon d'Or off of the back of this season, especially if Manchester City win the Champions League, which against PSG they have every chance of doing so. Maybe a PSG player wins it again. At least it isn't Real Madrid, because then Mbappe might not win it. Let's face it though, he probably still will. I was wrong. He did finish second behind Erling Haaland, whose Manchester City side did indeed go on to win the Champions League in 2030. Shockingly though, and not my fault or decision either, that Victor Osimhen left Bayern Munich at the end of his contract. So in the transfer window, I brought in an excellent goalkeeper as well as Anton Boss, a German striker from Schalke who looks amazing to replace Victor Osimhen. Now my thinking is, I know you're probably going, oh, why did you buy another world-class striker? Because this was Matheus Cunha's problem with Victor Osimhen. He was getting overshadowed. And that might be the case, but I've got a funny feeling that the Ballon d'Or tends to be done a lot, especially on Football Manager, on world reputation. And Anton Boss doesn't have that world reputation, and we can actually see that. Actually, he has a 10,000 world reputation, which he didn't have it when I signed him. Maybe it's because of the big move from Schalke to Bayern Munich, but Victor Osimhen also had the longevity of having a world reputation, and Matheus Cunha, I mean, his world reputation is only 8,700. So what I'm hoping is that, because Anton Bosz is still very young, very new onto the scene, he doesn't overshadow Matheus Cunha, who has again started the season well with 5 goals and 4 assists, and I've dropped him back into what I think is his best role, that shadow striker position. I haven't locked in Anton Bosz. He would naturally go there, and he has been. He's got 14 goals already. But if we are picking the best 11, the reason why I've got him in the shadow striker is because he goes to the advanced playmaker role. I'd rather have Musiala in there, who then allows Matheus Cunha to be that right-sided forward in a shadow striker, and they tend to score more goals off the back of that. I mean, this team is absolutely phenomenal, by the way, with the addition of Dannemann in goal. Again, 2 great names, Federico Dannemann and Anton Bosz. Phenomenal new-gen names. I'm really enjoying it. But our side is still looking great. Koundé now drops to the right back with Upamecano and Konate. That's been the thing for the last couple of seasons. And again, we've started quite well in the Bundesliga. We've picked up a couple of losses this season. Manchester City, the Champions League, and Leipzig in the Bundesliga. But could this be the season? Could this be the year that we do something special? Maybe a treble. We haven't done that yet. Well, it was another Bundesliga title win with Anton Bosz picking up the Golden Boot. But Cunha was cooking with 30 assists this season alone, in an incredible achievement and what I now think is his best season yet. A DFB Pokal win as well over Schalke, with Cunha grabbing 2 more assists. But a quarter-final exit loss to Tottenham Hotspur in the Champions League. Even still, that's 40 assists and 27 goals in 44 games for Matheus Cunha this season. And so we continue going into season number 8 using the same system and hope that Cunha's name is called. Sadly though, it was Kylian Mbappe who won his second Ballon d'Or with okay numbers, and even second and third place, 2 PSG lads with numbers nowhere close to Matheus Cunha from last season. My man Cunha is getting overlooked, and with time running out, there's only one way to show the voters that they got it wrong and should be looking in his direction. Scoring in the Champions League final against the PSG team that the other 2 players behind Mbappe was playing at. Now, it's not the perfect season for Bayern Munich. They did win the Bundesliga and the Champions League, but they lost in the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal, which is quite disappointing. The only downside, I think, really, is that Matheus Cunha didn't shine like he did last year, despite, of course, having unbelievable numbers last year. 19 assists is still really good. Not enough goals, though. Anton Bosz and Jamal Musiala both had 16 there. He did get a good average rating, not amazing. The clean sheets for Dannemann is quite impressive on its own, really. I'm just curious as to whether this is going to be the wrong time again for Cunha, who got 33 assists across the season with 19 goals. It's still more goal contributions per game than what he is playing. I just fear that it's the wrong time for him, the wrong season for him to put up those numbers. It needed to be, he needed to win the Champions League last year when he was putting up 40 assists. And at age 33, I can't see him getting as good of numbers as what he did that 2 seasons ago. I think this is his last shot at the Ballon d'Or trophy. And so with that in mind, I think we need to reflect on the achievement that Cunha has accomplished. The amount of goals he's scoring, the amount of assists he is picking up as well, or to complete the mission. And even in the lead up to the ceremony, his numbers are world class. 14 goals and 14 assists in just 17 appearances in his 9th season at my management. But is it enough for him to win the Ballon d'Or and be named as the best player in the world? Unfortunately, not. It's again a Real Madrid player, and this time it's Jude Bellingham, who for a centre midfielder, 25 goals, 14 assists, very good average rating, but you just can't help but feel Matheus Cunha, I really feel like he was hard done by. His milestones are really impressive. Look at the amount of wins, trophies, players, German Footballer of the Year. The accolades are fantastic. He just never won the big one. I mean, we're in 2032. I wonder whether that's got something to do with England, with the fact that Jude Bellingham won that. No, they didn't win anything. England did not win a European competition or a World Cup, whatever the year was. They just won La Liga, and somehow he wins the Ballon d'Or off the back of that. I'm still stumped on how this Ballon d'Or thing works on Football Manager and in real life, really. I'm still stumped on it. You can sort of see the decline already, especially in his physicals, with Matheus Cunha being 33, and the numbers that he's putting it up makes me think, is it worth just going to next year just to see what he does for this last season? Well, I couldn't help myself, so another 56 goal contributions later in 47 games, was it enough? No, of course not, because Erling Haaland has won it in a Barcelona shirt. Make sure you subscribe for more failed challenges attempted, and check out this video of Dad and I racing to complete the Glory Hunter Challenge.